Our anxious attachment can throw us into complete panic mode when someone we care about informs us that they don't think they want to be in the relationship anymore. We try to hold on tighter, and our fear of abandonment drives us to beg and chase and do things that are flat out embarrassing at times. All the while, they're still breadcrumbing you and telling you why everything in the relationship, the whole reason it crumbled, it's your fault. If you're like me, then you can feel in your gut, on some level, that what they're doing is wrong. You were a good partner, and the fact that you have to chase them, it doesn't feel right. Hello friends, my name is Maria, and it took me almost 20 years before I realized that when a people pleaser gets together with someone who's okay with using people, the resulting relationship, it can be disastrous. And the breakup is a disaster too, because it never quite seems to be the final breakup. I have a question from a man named James, who was wondering if I could provide any clarity on his most recent breakup with a fearful, avoidant woman who keeps coming in and out. She's emotionally torturing him, and she's definitely jerking him around. So many people with kind hearts who watch these videos have struggled with the same relationship dynamic. And if you are a member and you already saw this episode earlier this week, I put out a fresh new video for you this morning. So go on over to the playlist, to the members only videos, and you've got some brand new content waiting for you this morning. So as always, grab that bottle of nail polish and let's talk. Okay, James writes, "Greetings, Maria. I dated a beautiful woman who I will call Clara, who is 39. I'm 34. Our relationship was off and on for just over 2 years. The off part was her leaving, and the on part was after a few weeks, she would come back on her own. Whenever she would leave, I would beg, plead, chase, but she would totally disregard my messages, leave them on read, stonewall me. Radio silence for a few weeks when she would send me a breadcrumbing text, and inevitably we would always get back together. Whenever we got back together, I would do everything I could think of to be supportive, and things would be fine until they weren't. I know she's had a lot of trauma from family growing up, and she has also told me stories of her narcissistic ex-boyfriends. After learning these things, I always tried to be extra sensitive to her needs. We had a deep connection, and we were planning a future together. She would tell me no one had ever respected her the way that I have. However, after a few good months, she would always begin to become distant, pull away. She would flip everything and say I was the one who was inconsistent, and inevitably, she would discard me and leave. The last time she came back, I suggested that we go to therapy, but she refuses. She tells me that I just need to listen to her, and all a therapist would do was tell me the exact same thing. After this most recent breakup, Clara said it was all because I'm not there for her emotionally. So I asked her to specifically tell me what it is I can do to help her feel safe. And she replied that I should just know, because that's the bare minimum. I have become so emotionally exhausted that I finally had to block her on social media, and this infuriated her. I know this relationship is not good for me, although I do feel bad I couldn't be there for her in the way that she needed me to. I only want to learn from this. Any insight is much appreciated." Well, James, I'd first like to say I am so sorry that you are struggling with this. But I am glad that you reached out, because sometimes it is really helpful to get support of others who are outside the situation, and I am sure anyone viewing this video will be the first to tell you this isn't your fault. Now let's go over a few points that you made throughout the letter. All right, I first want to go over what you said about how after a few months she becomes distant, she flips everything, and she starts to throw it in your face that you've been inconsistent. This sounds to me a lot like she's projecting, because if everything that you're saying in your letter is accurate, it sounds like you have consistently loved her. and consistently been there for her whenever she comes back. And the only reason she's coming back is because she's the one who left in the first place. She's the one who's flitting in and out of this relationship. She's the one who's being emotionally and physically inconsistent. She's inconsistently there for you. You also mentioned that you suggest that you guys go to therapy, but she refuses. She tells you that you just need to listen to her, and a therapist would tell you to do the same. Well, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But I don't believe that any therapist would tell you to just be quiet and take all of your relationship advice from Clara, because she's the one who's sabotaging her relationships and bailing. So essentially, James, she's saying you keep your opinions to yourself and just follow everything that I instruct you to do blindly. Well, I've got to say, that sounds like having an emotionally dysregulated drunk steering the car. I believe you both could benefit from some good advice, but whenever you have a person who wholeheartedly believes that their word is set in stone and the buck stops at their opinion, that can be really dangerous. None of us know everything, and it is smart to do what you're doing and go outside of your anxiety and reach out to get others' opinions. I'm glad you're reaching out to people like me and exploring the idea of therapy, even if it's just for yourself. Because sometimes people who are not as emotionally invested can help you see things from a different angle. Part of the reason I love our community on this channel is because people who are struggling, they can go in the comments and they can read the toxic patterns of people who discard others. And it helps them realize this is a personality pattern, and maybe they begin to not take the discard so personally. And she says, you just need to listen to me. But it sounds like you were listening to her. You knew about her past, and you tried to be more sensitive. But I will say, James, there is a time when you're not listening to her. And that time comes when she tells you that she does not want the relationship, and you continue to beg instead of allowing her the dignity of her mistake. And I do use the word mistake, because if there wasn't some part of her that deep down didn't think the breakup was a mistake, she wouldn't keep coming back. She wouldn't do that. She would break up with you. She would be satisfied in her decision. She would know 100% it was the right decision, and you'd never hear from her again. And sometimes avoidance, even if you never hear from them again, it doesn't mean that they don't regret the breakup. It's just fear holding them back from reaching out to you. But I do believe this is an instance where this fearful, avoidant woman, she doesn't have a good control when it comes to regulating her emotions, and that's why she stonewalls you and then she honeymoons you, and then she stonewalls you and then she honeymoons you. Her emotions are just up and down, and it doesn't sound like she has a lot of emotional self-control. And I do believe there's a part of her that does feel connected to you, maybe even a little safe with you, and she keeps coming back. But I don't think she has a lot of control over her emotions. I believe she lets her emotions jerk her decisions around, just the same way that she's jerking you around too. You're just caught in the crossfire of this woman's indecisiveness. It's not fair to you. As anxious people who have a tendency to overgive to the wrong kinds of people, I believe we need all the help we can get when it comes to self-respect, getting away from people who are emotionally neglecting us, and finding a partner that finally works for us. And if you are an avid viewer of this channel and you are enjoying this format where we explore how different kinds of attachment styles affect each other when it comes to different kinds of relationships, then please leave a comment down below. And if you are someone who has a relationship question, or you have a story to share about a past relationship and you believe the lessons you learned could benefit other anxious viewers on this channel, please send me the story. I'll put the link to the channel Gmail in the description below. And even if I use it for a member video and you don't happen to be a member, don't worry. I'll still personally make sure you receive a copy of the video. Okay, you also say, after this most recent breakup, Clara said that it was because I'm not there for her emotionally. With people like this, it will never be enough until she is willing to work on some things or face some hard truths about herself. You could twist yourself into the most emotionally available person possible, but because you aren't the problem, meaning you didn't cause her past problems, because you aren't the problem, you also cannot be her solution. You can show her what love is, you can model that for her, but it's going to be up to Clara whether or not she can accept it. And it doesn't sound like at this time in her life she can even handle it. She's clearly not even open to staying with you and working on things during her emotional spirals. She just runs away. She is not open to seeing a therapist, and to each their own. And I would like to say, therapy can be great for some people, but a therapist cannot magically fix anyone, and a therapist can't magically force someone to love you the way that you want to be loved. And I think sometimes some of us are hopeful that that will happen, but it's only because we want the relationship so badly. But at the end of the day, people's emotions cannot be controlled. You guys might only benefit from therapy if Clara wanted the sessions too. And because she's had past trauma, and it doesn't sound like she's ever talked to a professional about it, she would probably gain more benefit if she was more proactive about seeking therapy that begins to just focus on her. She's seeking it out for herself. She is acknowledging that it's something that she needs, because Clara's stuck in a rut. You feel frustrated. She's probably frustrated too. She's totally stuck in a loop of getting back together with you and discarding you. You can get addicted to that kind of cortisol, but it doesn't mean that it's healthy or that it feels good. You also say in your letter that you specifically asked her what you could do to help her feel safe, and she just replies, "You, James, you should just know, because that's the bare minimum." Oh my God, with this whole bare minimum trend that's going around. James, all of these internet bare minimum memes aside, can I please clarify this one thing to you? Being solely responsible for healing another human being's lifetime of past trauma is not the bare minimum. It's impossible. She's asking you to do something that is unreasonable, impossible, and it's something that only Clara can do. So she's setting you up for failure. So now she can blame you for leaving without having to take any accountability. James, you're the reason I'm leaving because you failed to fix my entire past. We all find different ways and different healing methods to come to terms with our past trauma and move forward. And Clara's the only person who can figure out what that's going to be for herself. It's so personal, and she doesn't necessarily have to see a therapist. There's lots of ways you can do it. Support groups, YouTube channels, meditation, exercise courses, whatever. But Clara's healing cannot be the sole responsibility of another human being. In fact, I believe that if we go out into the dating world with a lot of unhealed, like serious unhealed trauma, we can get into a lot of trouble when we begin to believe that this next person we just started dating is going to be the answer to the sadness and the emptiness that we had, that we weren't able to come to terms with before we started trying to date other people. Okay, James, now I thought this comment in your letter was particularly telling because it really does show the essence of what it can be like to try to be in a relationship with a serious, fearful avoidant. You say that you have become so emotionally exhausted that you had to block her on social media, and it infuriated her. Oh well, you had to do what you had to do to protect yourself, and blocking Clara, that was you finally listening to yourself and what your body needed. James, you were exhausted, And Clara does not get to control what you do. It's no longer any of her business. She made her decision. She has every right to her feelings. She has the right to be infuriated, but she does not have the right to control you. And although it is healthy to care about your girlfriend's feelings in a relationship, Clara's no longer your girlfriend. She doesn't get a say in what you should and should not be exposed to on a daily basis on your social media feed. And if she dumps you, but continues to feel entitled to have access to you and to dictate your actions, that's a big control issue that Clara needs to get help for. James, I want to say this to you, and I hope when I do, it's going to help bring you some clarity. Clara is a woman who dumps you and then feels infuriated when you block her. She doesn't like that you made that decision for yourself, because the next time she has a weak moment where she feels a bit ambivalent about the breakup, she no longer has that access to you. Clara is a woman who is perfectly fine with the breakup until she's not, and then she comes running back to you. Clara does not know how to find her own center. She never learned how to do that, and she is using her control over you as a way to self-soothe and regulate her emotions. So yeah, she's going to freak out when that control is taken away. And I want to go back to one of the original statements you made in your letter. You said, "We had a deep connection. We were planning a future together. She would tell me no one had ever respected her the way that I have." And you know, I believe that that's true. But James, you have to respect yourself first. By allowing her to jerk you around and just come and go as she pleases, you're not relaying that you have any respect for yourself. And I believe it would be hard for anyone to have respect for these actions in a relationship. And I am not ragging on you. I have done all the same stuff. And I know you said you guys had talked about planning a future together, but I would like to point out it's going to be awfully hard to plan a future with someone that you can't trust to stay around. At first, after she breaks up with you and she first comes back, I'll bet that feels great. Oh, she's back, things are wonderful again, and look, now we're planning on having kids and we're planning on getting married. But you know, after she's bailed 3 or 4 or 5 times and she comes back and she begins to say all of these wonderful things to you, what's gonna happen is it's not gonna make you feel good anymore. You're going to start to get a very sunken feeling down in your gut because you don't trust her words anymore. And not for nothing, but it'd be pretty hard to plan a future with someone that you can't trust. James, you are getting jerked around, and we cannot skirt past the fact that there is something in you that is allowing Clara to come in and out of your life. And of course, on some level, it is because you love her. But I also believe it is your attachment wound that continues to allow someone who is causing you so much pain to continue to be an active participant in your life. It's time to start working on finding your own center, where you flow through life and you know who you are. You don't allow other people to change you only because it happens to benefit them. The difference being, when you're in a long-term relationship, over the years, people grow and you do change the way that you do a lot of things. And in these circumstances, it is appropriate to check in with each other once in a while and maybe discuss making some kind of a change. However, I would take it as a huge red flag if you begin dating someone and they almost immediately start telling you why you don't measure up and how you need to change. This is codependent behavior, and it is highly controlling. Please understand that just because you didn't find the one thing that would magically fix Clara and all of her issues and all of her past and all of her life's problems, it does not mean that you failed, and it does not make you a failure. We cannot help who we fall in love with, but love does not look like trying to give everything of yourself and do everything you can to try to make the other person happy all the time. It doesn't mean trying to be 2 steps ahead and thinking of every little thing that you can do to give them every single thing that they want. Loving someone means you accept them for who they are as you both figure life out. We all have a past that creates issues. And James, for your future dating endeavors, we use these experiences to go out into the dating world. And now we have learned red flags to look out for. We acknowledge that dating is a process of getting to know other people. And we do not rush so quickly into relationships that we can't take a step back for a moment and say, you know, I know we are attracted to each other, but it doesn't feel like your issues are gonna jive with my idiosyncrasies, and too bad, I guess it's just not gonna work out in the long run. Because the thing about everyone having issues is, these are my issues, those are your issues, and can we work around them and still continue to build each other up and build up this relationship? Or do our issues cause us to tear each other down? And consistently beating into someone's mind how much they don't measure up, that is tearing someone down. James, when I was writing this video, I painted my nails with a nail polish called And Flowered, because I am so glad that you are empowering yourself to learn and to reach out for an outside opinion. There is so much love to be had once we find our own center and we don't run around trying to fix problems for other people that they are perfectly capable of fixing for themselves. And not only that, it's more attractive. People like people with boundaries. I used to think that having boundaries was a bad thing because it would scare people away. But boundaries only scare away people who are wrong for you, people who are looking to use you as a way to try to regulate their own emotions, or to use you as a scapegoat when life isn't going exactly how they want. And Clara's not acting like she wants the relationship, because when you cherish things like relationships and people, you don't treat them like this. You don't act so recklessly. And it doesn't mean that Clara doesn't have some love for you, and it doesn't mean that Clara doesn't deserve love as a person, but it does mean that it's time to look at the reality of the situation. And right now, Clara is a person who's not willing to stick it out through hard times with you. She's in a loop of bailing and coming back, and you're in a mental loop of thinking, Clara's treating me badly because I did something wrong. On a side note, some guys say that women only want bad boys. But I think that what women want is men who are not okay with being mistreated for no reason. I do believe that sometimes their attraction is a bit misguided because they see the bad boy and he's got this, just cool aura about him. And what they're attracted to is someone who's not pretzeling themselves to contort to what the world thinks that they should be. But you can be a good guy and not bend over to what everyone wants as well. You can be a good person and still have that highly attractive quality of self-respect. James, I hope that this video did bring some clarity for you today, and I am with you. I am enflowering you on your struggles. I'm your biggest cheerleader today. And if you have any follow-up questions that maybe I didn't address in the video, don't be shy to reach out to the channel Gmail I'll link in the description below. It was so nice meeting you. My name is Maria Adriana. You did not have to live my life, but I certainly hope you can learn something from it. As always, thank you for visiting the other half. And thank you for being a member.